Hello, welcome to Dundrol's podcast. I'm your host Justin. Today we're reviewing the MCU TV show Moon Knight, which is a 6-episode miniseries starring Oscar Isaac as Mark Spector. You have Ethan Hawke as the villain, Arthur Harrow, May Calamawy as Layla El Faloui, F. Murray Abram as Khonshu, and that's pretty much all the famous actors in the show. So apparently the show was created by or program creator Jeremy Slater. Don't really know this guy. Yeah, apparently he worked on the Death Note TV show. Oh boy. Yeah. So I reviewed the first episode, and I gotta say I hated the show. They made a lot of changes to the characters. I also want to say I'm going to try to keep this as comic book fan neutral as possible. For one thing, I'm only a casual fan of Moon Knight, and I'm more of a fan of his 70s stuff. I'm not really a fan of the multi-personality thing that they turned Moon Knight into, like with the more recent, like in the most recent decades they did that. I think it was like in the 2010s or something, right? Not really a fan of that, but that's what they were going for in the show, right? So yeah, the story for this show is basically a mix of the Mummy, the Brendan Fraser films meets Kamen Rider, where you have this incel-like character played by Oscar Isaac, Stephen Grant, who's British, working at an Egyptian museum, right? And he's kind of a loser, right? He kind of has a problem where he blacks out and misses long periods of time. He eventually gets in contact with Arthur Harrow, who is part of this cult of Amet, who wants to judge everybody and judge everybody for their potential sins and kill them all and bring back his crocodile Egyptian god. So over the course of this show, Stephen Grant realizes that he's actually the avatar of the Egyptian god of the moon, Khonshu, and has another personality in him, the mercenary Mark Spector, who is this badass soldier, right? Who was killed and brought back to life with Khonshu. He also has a girlfriend named Layla, who looks nothing like Mark Spector's girlfriend from the comic book, who was Caucasian, blonde, beautiful lady. They got it. That's the thing. They wanted to turn her into Egyptian superhero, which there were rumors that they were gonna do, like with Marvel's doing nowadays, is with the MCU stuff, is they're taking the old characters and replacing them with female counterparts. There were rumors they were going to do that for this show, and I could say that honestly they didn't do that. They did turn Layla into Egyptian superhero, but she becomes the avatar of a different Egyptian god. She's not Khonshu's avatar, right? So yeah, the show is like a mix of comedy, adventure, and action, right? At first I hated the show because of Stephen Grant's character, but once Moon Knight, Mark Spector shows up, he's a more competent action hero character, kind of has like a Jason Bourne thing going on, right? Yeah, he's pretty cool. Though Moon Knight does not get a lot of screen time in the show, but what screen time Moon Knight does have looks pretty cool. And you also have the different Moon Knight forms. When Mark Spector has the costume, he's more the classic Moon Knight um, he's more the classic Moon Knight costume, where Stephen Grant, he has the white suit and the mask, which is apparently from Warren Ellis's run on Moon Knight, right? Which I gotta say, I love the scenes where you see Mark Spector Moon Knight flying, and his cape is like a crescent moon shape, which is totally ripped off from Batman, because Batman, when he spreads his wings, his cape, they look like bat wings. Here it's like crescent moon. Looks badass, which they fucking didn't do in the fucking shitty Pattinson Batman film, right? Which a lot of people love. I don't give a shit. Enough of my favorite fellow critics hated that movie, and I hated that movie too. So fuck that movie. But yeah, this show, at first I kind of hated, but as it went on, the show honestly did get better, especially the episodes directed by Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson, who are the directors behind some really cool indie horror movies. They did Resolution. They did their most recent film was Synchronic, and they did a movie called The Endless, which was a pretty cool H.P. Lovecraftian kind of movie. If you haven't seen The Endless, make sure to check it out. It was an awesome film. So yeah, if I were to give this show a rating, I would say it was probably a 6.5 out of 10. Not great, but it did get better. And especially the climax of the show was really good, where you have this battle in Egypt where Moon Knight and Layla are fighting Arthur Harrow, and then you in the skyline you see a giant version of Khonshu and Ahmet fighting in front of the pyramids. It was very Tokusatsu-esque. I gotta admit, it was pretty cool, and the CGI was good. Though I wasn't a fan of the Moon Knight mummy kind of costume. It kind of fits with the whole retcon that he's an Egyptian superhero, which Doug Moench did do, right? But it was kind of like hinted at, oh, maybe there was no Khonshu, he's just making all this Egyptian shit up, right? But yeah, they did change that. So I don't know. I did like the show. It has a rough first 2 episodes, but by episode 3 it does get better, right? And it did get better, and people were wrong about the MCU stuff, even though they do sequel bait, and we might get more Moon Knight stuff, which they hinted at the Jake Lockley character as well, who spoke Spanish for some reason, even though in the previous episode he had a New York accent. So I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, he was a pretty cool, they turned him into a Sicario assassin character. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. One thing that did bother me though is people were like, oh, Arthur Harrow, he's the Shadow Knight, right? Which, let me just look up for a second what Shadow Knight looks like. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of Shadow Knight. He basically just looks like an evil version of Moon Knight, not that much different. But it still would have been cool to have Shadow Knight in the show. Which, yeah, Arthur Harrow, when he becomes Ahmet's avatar, he doesn't get a costume. It's just he can just shoot purple energy blasts out of his staff, even though he was him and his followers were one-shotting people, balancing their souls. So it's what was up with that? But other than that, I thought the show was good, and I would recommend it for Marvel Comics fans. And if people are wondering about if any geeks and gamers people, comics gators, are wondering, hey, is there any woke stuff in the show? Not really. There is some, but it's not it's not a big deal. All right, bye. Also, our next TV show review, our next superhero TV show review we're gonna do is going to be on Invincible. All right, peace.